Have you ever felt a quiet, persistent sense of being out of step? Like the rhythm of your own mind, its constant hum of thoughts, its deep need to question, its preference for the quiet corners of the world, doesn't quite match the standard tempo of everyday life. You might have heard the labels, whispered or spoken aloud. The daydreamer, the overthinker, the one who lives in their own head. What if I told you that these aren't your flaws, but perhaps your features? That psychology and neuroscience are beginning to paint a compelling picture. Many of the traits we dismiss as weird or scattered are, in fact, the outward signs of a complex, high-processing cognitive engine. Today, we're not just listing habits. We're going on a deep dive into the architecture of the intelligent mind. We'll explore why your brain operates this way, meet some of history's great minds who shared these traits, and reframe what it means to think differently. If you've ever felt misunderstood because of how you process the world, this conversation is for you. And hey, if this resonates, why not join our community of deep thinkers? Hit that subscribe button. It truly helps us grow and make more content like this. Let's start with a habit so common, yet so often hidden in shame: talking to yourself. Not just the internal monologue, but the full, out-loud conversation. You're planning your day in the car, rehearsing a difficult conversation in the shower, or even muttering to yourself while solving a problem. From the outside, it might look odd, but from the inside, it's a powerful cognitive tool. Research, like the notable work from Bangor University, suggests that vocalizing your thoughts activates a different network in your brain. It's called auditory self-guidance. When you turn a thought into sound, you're forced to structure it. You hear the logic, or the lack thereof. It moves the problem from the abstract realm of your prefrontal cortex into the sensory world, making it something you can almost grasp. This is why children learn by talking through their actions, and why athletes use self-talk to focus under immense pressure. You've got this. Breathe. Watch the ball. It's a form of cognitive rehearsal. The great physicist Richard Feynman was famous for his playful, exploratory dialogues with himself, treating complex problems as characters in a story. So, the next time you catch yourself in a full-blown debate alone in your kitchen, remember, you're not losing touch with reality. You're engaging in a high-level problem-solving session. Your brain is using every available channel, internal and external, to find clarity. I'd love to know, what do you find yourself talking about aloud? Your to-do list? Creative ideas? Drop it in the comments. Let's normalize this powerful habit together. This leads us naturally to the companion of self-talk, the world inside your head, or what we often call daydreaming. You're in a meeting or reading a book, and suddenly you're 5 years in the future, planning a business, or on a beach, or solving a plot hole in a story you haven't even written. To others, you've zoned out. But groundbreaking research from institutions like the Georgia Institute of Technology tells a different story. They found that individuals whose minds wander frequently often score higher on tests of intellectual and creative ability. Why? Because what looks like idleness is actually your brain's default mode network kicking into high gear. This network is active not when we're focused on the outside world, but when we're reflecting on ourselves, simulating social scenarios, imagining the future, or making remote connections between ideas. An efficient brain can process the immediate task, that boring spreadsheet, quickly, and then, with spare capacity, it goes exploring. It starts connecting the concept from that podcast you heard last week with the problem your friend mentioned yesterday. This is the incubator of eureka moments. The shower thought, the sudden insight during a walk. Your daydreams aren't a distraction from your genius. They are its workshop. So, give that wandering mind some credit. It's not escaping. It's exploring uncharted territory. If you're enjoying this journey into the mind so far, showing your support with a like on this video means the world. It tells the algorithm that deep dives like this are valued. Now, let's look at your environment. Specifically, the state of your desk, your room, your creative space. If it looks like a curated chaos, paper stacked in what seems like madness, books open to various pages, notes everywhere, society might label it messy. But psychology suggests it could be a catalyst. A study published in Psychological Science found that while orderly environments promote convention and healthy choices, disorderly environments like a messy desk can break convention and stimulate novel ideas. For a mind that's constantly connecting disparate concepts, A perfectly sterile environment can feel limiting. The pile of books, the half-finished sketches, the post-it notes with fragmented thoughts. This isn't just clutter. It's a visual representation of your brain's active connections. Each item is a node in a network, and their physical proximity can spark unexpected links. Think of the legendary inventor Nikola Tesla, who could visualize his complex machines in perfect detail in the clutter of his own mind, or the artist's studio brimming with inspiration. The mess isn't a sign of a disorganized mind. It's often the landscape of an organizing one, building its own unique order from the apparent chaos. Your focus is internal, on the conceptual architecture, not the external filing system. And when does this internal architecture work best? For many, it's not during the bright, buzzing daylight hours. It's in the profound quiet of the night. If you're someone who finds your peak clarity, creativity, and focus arriving long after midnight, you're embodying what some studies link to higher cognitive preference. The night owl chronotype isn't just about sleep disruption. The late-night hours offer a sacred, distraction-free vacuum. The social world is asleep. Notifications cease. The demands of the day fade. In this silence, a mind wired for complexity finds the space it needs to stretch out. This is when you can follow a thought down a rabbit hole without interruption, when you can write, code, compose, or strategize with a flow that feels impossible during the day. Historically, many prolific creators, from composers like Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart to writers like Fran Lebowitz, have been nocturnal workers. The solitude isn't loneliness. It's a collaborative space between you and the deepest parts of your own cognition. Your brain, it seems, is wired for the symphony of silence. This deep work requires fuel, and that fuel is curiosity. Not a passive wondering, but an insatiable, almost compulsive need to know why and how. It's the drive that leads you down Wikipedia rabbit holes at 2 a.m., from the history of the spoon to the politics of ancient Crete. It's the stack of books on your nightstand spanning neuroscience, poetry, and cosmology. Psychologist and author Dr. Todd Kashdan frames this as curiosity as a mechanism of growth. This relentless questioning builds what cognitive scientists call a rich and highly interconnected semantic network. In simpler terms, your brain becomes a vast, dense web of knowledge where every fact, idea, and experience is linked to many others. This allows for extraordinary feats of analogical thinking, solving a modern business problem with a lesson from Roman history, or understanding a psychological concept through a metaphor from physics. Your curiosity isn't random. It's your brain's method of building the most powerful processor it can, one that can see patterns across time and discipline. If this sounds like you, let me know in the comments. What's the most random rabbit hole you've gone down recently? But with a brain built like this, a simple choice is never simple. Choosing a restaurant isn't just about cuisine. It's a cascade of considerations. The ambience, the likely crowd, the logistical route, the potential for a new experience versus a known pleasure, the reviews, the chef's philosophy. You overthink. And our culture often frames that as a weakness, indecision. But let's reframe it. It's deep processing. Your brain is wired for pattern recognition and predictive analysis. It's running simulations. If we go here, then we'll likely encounter that, which could lead to this conversation. But if we go there, the noise level might hinder connection. This is your brain's risk assessment and optimization software running in the background. While it can be exhausting, this thoroughness protects you from unseen pitfalls and allows you to spot subtle opportunities others gloss over. It's not that you can't decide. It's that you respect the complexity of consequence, even in seemingly small matters. This intricate inner world demands protection, which brings us to social preferences. If large, loud parties drain you to your core, but a 3-hour one-on-one conversation about the nature of consciousness leaves you energized, you are not antisocial. You are selectively social. Psychologist and author Dr. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, in his work on flow, highlights the need for periods of uninterrupted focus to achieve high-level creativity and thought. For minds that process deeply, small talk isn't just boring, it's cognitively jarring. It requires constant context switching with little payoff. Meaningful dialogue, however, is a meeting of complex inner worlds. It's a collaborative exploration. The solitude you crave in between these connections isn't empty. It's the space where your mind consolidates, creates, and recharges. It's where you can hear yourself think. This need is so well documented among gifted individuals that it has its own term, the introverted intellect. It's not a dislike of people, it's a necessary management of your cognitive resources. What do you feed a mind like this? Often, it craves art and music that matches its complexity. You might find straightforward pop lyrics less engaging than a complex instrumental piece by a composer like Hildur Ganadr or Johann Sebastian Bach, where the narrative is emotional and structural, not literal. You might be drawn to abstract art, a Mark Rothko painting or a Barbara Hepworth sculpture, where the meaning isn't handed to you but co-created through your interaction with it. Your brain enjoys the work of interpretation. It wants to solve the puzzle, to feel the layers, to uncover the multiple meanings. This preference for nuanced, challenging stimuli over simple, repetitive ones is a direct reflection of a cognitive style that seeks depth and novelty. This love for layered meaning shines brightly in your sense of humor. Sarcasm, irony, dark humor, and intricate wordplay aren't just ways to be funny. They are high-wire cognitive acts. To get a sarcastic remark, your brain must instantly process the literal meaning, recognize the contextual mismatch, understand the speaker's likely intent, and appreciate the social commentary, all in milliseconds. Research has consistently linked the appreciation and creation of complex humor to higher scores in verbal intelligence and cognitive flexibility. It's a form of mental gymnastics. When you craft a perfect, witty pun or deploy a well-timed piece of dark irony, you're demonstrating an ability to hold multiple frames of reference in your mind at once and switch between them with agility. It's intelligence at play. And finally, this brings us to a classic paradox: the ability to solve intricate, multi-layered problems for hours, while being utterly defeated by a simple, repetitive task like filing paperwork or basic data entry. This isn't laziness. This is what happens when a high-performance engine is asked to idle. Research in educational psychology often finds that gifted individuals can become frustrated and disengage when chronically underchallenged. Your brain is designed for complexity. It seeks novelty and intellectual resistance the way a muscle seeks resistance to grow. When faced with a mundane task, it quite literally struggles to allocate attention. The mental reward pathways don't light up. So you procrastinate, not out of a lack of discipline, but out of a deep, neurological hunger for meaningful engagement. Your brain is saving its fuel for the challenges that truly matter to it. So what does all this mean? If you see yourself in these patterns, it's a strong indication that your brain is wired for deep, integrative, and creative processing. You are not broken, scattered, or too much. You are operating on a different frequency. The self-talk is your internal cockpit. The daydreaming is your R&D department. The mess is your idea landscape. The late nights are your deep work sanctuary. The overthinking is your precision analytics suite. The solitude is your recharge station. These are the features of a mind built not for superficial conformity, but for depth, synthesis, and original thought. The world, in its rush for simplicity, might call you weird. But in the quieter, more nuanced language of psychology and neuroscience, these are often the signatures of a highly intelligent, highly sensitive processing system. Your mind doesn't take shortcuts. It explores the entire map. And in a world that needs new solutions, that is not a weakness, it's a profound strength. Psychologist and author Dr. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, in his work on flow, highlights the need for periods of uninterrupted focus to achieve high-level creativity and thought. For minds that process deeply, small talk isn't just boring, it's cognitively jarring. It requires constant context switching with little payoff. Meaningful dialogue, however, is a meeting of complex inner worlds. It's a collaborative exploration. The solitude you crave in between these connections isn't empty. It's the space where your mind consolidates, creates, and recharges. It's where you can hear yourself think. This need is so well documented among gifted individuals that it has its own term, the introverted intellect. Thank you for spending this time in deep reflection with me. If this perspective shifted how you see yourself or someone you love, please let me know in the comments. Your stories are why I do this. If you want to join us for more explorations into psychology, creativity, and the art of thinking differently, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. We have so much more to discover together. And if this video added value to your day, sharing it is the greatest compliment you can give. Until next time, keep embracing the beautiful, complex way your mind works.